Hello everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. My last couple days has been a lot. Been trying to deal with the dog, getting that stuff ready. If you didn't know last week, well, actually, do I have it convenient photos still here? I do. Let's see, where do we go? Window capture. A couple days ago, 3 days ago or so now, we got a new dog. His name is Pancake. He's a Dachshund Chihuahua. Hey, Gamer Jerome, how you doing? So it's been a lot of work. Been a lot of potty training, house training stuff. We went to Petco or PetSmart today. And it was very, very weird taking a pet into PetSmart. I know that you can take pets into PetSmart, but I've never in my whole life been able to or wanted to take a pet because I really was all about cats and stuff. So, and well, I've had fish. We have parakeets now, but just kind of killing time so people can join. I've got a couple of unfinished business things to talk about first. Other projects that I've been acquiring parts for. I think we have a lot of work, semi a lot of work. But we're not going to be able to do, unfortunately, we're probably not going to do a lot of OSSC Pro. We might use it a tiny bit tonight, but this is not the dedicated OSSC Pro stream because I ran into an issue with the NESRGB after the last week's stream. But we'll get into that tonight. Well, actually, first thing, so I'm still working on I haven't worked on anything really other than the what you've seen already in stream. So this is the current Micro 8088 build. So we built the back plane and the CPU board up here. These other things are just this is a Pico Gus and the VGA card that worked. So, but the new thing that I've gotten so far is a Pico ATX power supply. Now, this is one of those mini. What's it long hair? This is one of those mini box. I think that's the brand, mini box. They're kind of expensive, but you can get both the AT. So it's basically this back plane. I know you can't really see, and this is not really about that, but this is just a normal ATX connector like you might find in a modern power supply for a computer. But it uses this little tiny thing here, and it just has a connector, just one little cable. Actually, it's hanging out here. So this cable connects to, it's going to connect to the back here. And so normally I think this case was designed for this barrel jack style input. So you get a barrel jack DC power adapter for this. But I ordered a kit, or the bundle, I guess I should say, that had both the Pico ATX itself, so that's this part here and the wires, and it came with a big. I bought the biggest, the most powerful one that I could, and it's 190 watts. So I mean, it's not terribly high wattage, but so this is the kit. But if you look at the actual plug. So this is why you don't just blindly buy stuff. If you look at the plug on the AC adapter for the most powerful, this is the jack. It's not a barrel jack. It's one of these weird 4-pin things. So this power supply is not going to work. And I'm curious if the whole Pico ATX version that I bought was not going to work. Anyway, so I ordered a smaller one, or the highest powered Pico ATX, Pico ATX is what it's called, I guess. The highest one with the barrel jack. So that's coming. Then I can actually, kind of work on that a little more without needing a whole ATX power supply. Okay, I know that's boring stuff, and that's for another day. But I guess it's a word of caution. If anybody is following along and building a Micro 8088, that you have to get a specific kind of that AT or the Pico ATX power supply, but I don't know which one works yet. So okay, anything else before we dive in? Not really. No, that's pretty much it. Nothing else fun. Like, maybe I'll think of something later. Okay, so last stream, so last Sunday, we got most of the way into the Oh, you've got to be kidding. Oh, derp. There we go. We got most of the way into the NESRGB build, and I kind of left it at like, okay, we're pretty much finished. If you're following along, you could button up the system and use it. I was very wrong. I was not that close to finishing, and there's kind of an asterisk, but I'll say that I wasn't really finished setting it up yet, and it comes down to the jumpers. First of all, it comes down to jumpers, right? So if you have an older NESRGB, so like a 3 or a 2 or whatever, I think you really only need to bridge this J5 and J3 up here if you're not using the external power regulator, so that it runs basically off the regulator of the NES itself. So those are the ones that are kind of familiar no matter which version that you got. But it's those ones over here that I didn't do anything with, or I might have done one of them. So what we could do is we'll take a look. I want to just go through the documentation a little bit more. While I'm here, oh hey Belmont, I'm I'm curious about how you've been doing with going back to work, Belmont. So it's good to hear that you're still kicking, but you're gonna be tired. Hey Bartleby. Okay, so while we're here, before I talk about the jumpers, so I want to talk about what jumpers to set over here, which I don't think I talked about at all. I think I talked about all the wiring stuff enough. I also didn't talk about which direction the flex cable needs to go, and I'll just kind of spoil it. And it needs to go because I couldn't find, really, there's not a lot of documentation about the flex cable or the quick solder board part. I mean, it's kind of really semi-obvious how it works, but I did want, actually, I looked at iFix Retro is a modder, but he also does post a lot on social media. He was doing one, I think, on an NES top loader. So he was doing an NESRGB with a top loader with the QSB, and he actually soldered this QSB on the underside. So these vias, obviously, the ones on the actual NESRGB, not the castellations, but the vias, they go all the way through, and so he flips this kind of, I guess it's 180, just like imagine it doing a half a barrel roll or whatever, and soldering underneath. So, but that would not fit in my case because the CPU is too close. So this is really the only way. Anyway, so the flex cables go blue side down. So if you shouldn't be able to see the blue part on both ends. So here, because I learned the hard way, I actually had both the blue sides up at first and it wasn't doing anything. So here and over here, it just needs to be so that you can't see the blue part. That's the right way to connect these. Just out of shape, yeah. Nice, that's good. Okay, so that was kind of the buttoning up of the actual wiring. So now let's jump in. I'm super unprepared, but my life's been kind of a lot. Let's talk about, let's go to the, I don't think it's this. Is it this? Oh yeah, it is. So here's the new jumpers, the jumpers on the side. There's this section here. So these are specific to the version 4, I believe, of the NESRGB, which is what this is. Now, we'll just kind of point out which ones we'll want to set. Actually, let me just reference what I have set. So I have J1 set, so let's talk about J1. J1 is the palette selection mode. Unbridged or open is use a mechanical switch to select the palette, which is the old style of NESRGB where you could either use the included little toggle switch thing, or you could do something like the NESRGB IGR, which is Voltar's in-game reset / palette switcher thing that you can use a controller. But that's semi-integrated into the NESRGB now. So you want to close. Oh, and then so it says closed is controller selects palette. So that's the newer IGR way. So you need J1 open or closed for if you're going to be following what I'm doing, which is I'm going to use the IGR stuff. Okay, so the second one is to select which bank of palettes to use. So there's kind of two sets of palettes you can use, either 1 through 3 or 4 through 6. I'm just going to leave this as open, or just the 1 through 3. So J2 stays open. So I know it's kind of weird that it jumps to J6, but J6 is actually the next one in the I scooped a coupe expansion. A couple expansion audio boards from Castlevania. Yeah, that's something I never really did, but I probably should put an expansion audio in here. And I think a lot of people would like to see how it wires up. So yeah, I definitely want to pick one up. I should do that. Actually, I should get one. Okay, so J6 is the next one in here, and that says this is an important one. So this is to dictate the reset polarity, and that's kind of like the NESRGB resets the console in a certain way, like certain voltage, like low to high or high to low. That's what this setting is. So if you leave it open, that's for a top loader or a Famicom. So you need to close it for the front loader. So that was one thing that I had to do, and so J6 is closed. J10, actually J7 is the next one on the NESRGB, but it's not labeled here, so I'm going to skip it. So J10 is the one after that, and that is to enable the de-jitter time correction, which I don't think this is as full as the actual de-jitter board. The Arthremis, I think, makes it. So I'm not sure. I'll have to test. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be doing any testing with the old OSSC, but that if you use an OSSC, a normal OSSC, not the Pro, actually doing the de-jitter mod helps immensely with both the NES and the SNES. So that's just kind of a side note. But I put it I put it closed to activate the de-jitter. So whatever the NESRGB can do as far as de-jitter, it's gonna try that. So that's 10 is closed, and then J11 is not closed for me. So that's disabling the indicator LEDs, which I don't want to do. And so I'll show you what that is. I don't know why you would want to do that. Maybe if you have a clear shell, so you want to turn all the LEDs off or something. But so I'll show you. On my system, so that's over here. So J1 is closed, J6 is closed, and then J10 is closed, and all the other ones are unbridged. So that's what I didn't talk about last week, because I kind of ran out of time and I didn't know that. I looked it up afterward. So that's basically everything is set to go or everything was set to go to test it. Now, as you notice, it's not in the case. It's connected to everything. It's connected to all these connectors here, but it's just flipped over because we need to be able to see these indicator lights in a minute. So I want to just connect. So I got my triad. We're going to connect the triad power supply. So we're going to test it now. We're going to turn it on. I've got my, oops, the power connector was in. I've got my, it's not screwed in, which is probably not a good idea, but it would probably make better connection if the cart slot at least, well, I guess you can't really because it screws into the plastic, doesn't it? Anyways, it's just kind of haphazard how I'm like, it's set up here, but we need to look at the LEDs on the bottom to show you what's happening. So I guess we'll go to, well, let me turn on the OSSC Pro because I know it will work with that. It was having a hard time working with the RetroTink 4K so now this is analog, right? So I'm kind of not doing the morph because I'm not going to get into, I don't know, I'll just stick with my other scalers that have analog input. So let's go to what? The OSSC. So we got the OSSC. Let's change the input. Oh, this is the RetroTink menu, or RetroTink. So I think it's AV2 and then YPVPR. So I'm using my HD Retrovision cables. from the multi-out. Oh, I didn't tell you. I didn't show actually. I've got the multi-out is connected, right, and then I got my HD Retrovision cable connected up here. So that's the other thing. So I got my triad couple plugged in the front, and the HD Retrovision multi-out is in the back. So I got the OSSC Pro. Now let's go ahead and turn on the console, and you'll see what happens. So we get a black screen, okay? And I think if you were in a game, like I have my EverDrive in there, but if I had a game, audio is working. So like if I press start on the controller to just open the most recently played game on the EverDrive, it would load into a game and you could hear audio at this point. So it's possible, you could hear audio, but not you could have a black screen like this. So while this is still, then let me prove. Okay, well, never mind. Let's go back to the overhead, and we need to take a look at these lights at the bottom. So this is how you're going to be able to figure out if you have the same problem as me. Okay. So these lights at the bottom here, they're like, this basically indicates what palette is selected. So 1 through 7 is, well, I don't know what 7 is actually, but 1 through 6 is an indicator of what palette is selected. 0 actually means that the NESRGB is off. It's not working. So if I turn off the console and I turn it back on again, you'll notice that it boots right away. It just goes directly to 0 and nothing else. Now, I'll tell you that I've got a controller connected, and it's working. The NESRGB is working. So what I need to do is hold select and start and press right. And you can see how I can select a palette. Okay, so let's select palette 1 by holding, getting to palette 1. I could select any of these, it doesn't really matter, but let's just get to 1. Then if we go back to the OSSC, well, this is sort of it does this sometimes and I don't know why. Where it's got this weird coloring, but if we hop into a game, the coloring is fine. And I can actually turn audio on because I don't think I'll get copyright struck from this. So as you can see, I will hop into the actual game. The colors look fine, right? Normal NES, and you can actually swap through the palettes if you want to. I know it's hard to see in this. Oops, let me get out of the select screen. But if I select the palette, see, all this is working. The palette selecting stuff is all working. So as far as I'm concerned, it looks like the NESRGB is working. It's just the issue is when you turn it on and off again. So right now we're in the palette. If we turn it off and back on again, it'll get stuck at 0 again. So it'll look like it's not working at all, and it kind of isn't. So that's the indicator of my problem. Okay. Now I need to find the web page because for some reason I lost the I lost the page that is going to help us with this, but I want to find it again. No, it's not this. There was like a specific page. Hold on, I'm looking for it. NESRGB for firmware, maybe. Excuse me. Okay, found the page. I've got a black screen on one of my NESRGBs and no LEDs on the board. Okay, I don't know that. I would double check. At that point, I would double check all of the jumpers. It depends on your exact setup, but if your setup is like mine, right? So you've got a front loader. So you also need J5 needs to be set. If you have an NTSC console, J5, J3 if you're not using the external voltage regulator like I'm not, and then J1. And also don't forget about these over here: J1, J6, and J10. I'm not really sure beyond that. I think maybe your wiring. Double check your wiring. But again, I think it's kind of version specific. So while we're here, I guess I'm going to turn this off so I don't. While we're here, I want to say that you can tell which version of the NES 4.0 that you have. You need to look at this number right here. So mine is 2238. I think that means that this board was produced in the 38th week of 2022. So I've had this for a while. So if you're having problems, Lionheart, I would find out which board version you have. Then if we look here, if we look at this page, so this is, you can just Google like NESRGB4. The power light comes on. I didn't mention it. The light. Oh, you're talking to Lionheart. Yeah, is the actual NES powering on too? Maybe you've got a short or something, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. If you want to hop in my Discord or whatever and post photos, you can do that. What happened to my camera here? Okay. So this page, I found, I don't know, I was Googling like black screen NES RGB or something like that. Because at first I was like, what the heck is going on? Before I figured out that you can swap with the palettes. So if you can swap with the palettes and you get picture that way, then I think your problem is like my problem. Okay, so this article, this is written by Tim too, Tim Worthington. So it's not like a, you know. So it says there are two versions of the FPGA firmware. Boards with a date code of silkscreen on the silkscreen 2238 all have the V2 FPGA firmware. So mine is exactly the 2238. So I've got V2 firmware pre-installed on it. Boards with the earlier date code 2231 almost all have V1 FPGA firmware, except for a small amount which have V2 written on the FPGA. Okay, so FPGA firmware is not programmable. MCU firmware is, I'm not sure what that means, but okay. And then it's like, it's interesting. It's like it says it's not programmable, but then it proceeds to say FPGA firmware. Like, I don't know. So the version 1 of the MCU firmware has some bugs also. So I have a version 2. So it says controller button combinations to change palette in-game reset are not recognized by the NESRGB and some NES controllers. And the in-game reset feature does not work on front-loading NES consoles. So this is version 1. So there's an updated version for version 1, also version 1.1. So depending on which version you have, you might have version 1. So if you have version 1, you probably can follow the similar steps, but you need the version 1 firmware, whereas I'm going to focus on version 2. It's a 4.2. Okay, so you have the even newer hardware. Interesting. It's a top loader, but I did notice the heatsink getting warm. Yeah, my heatsink gets warm too. That's just kind of what they do. I'm not trying to like sweep that under the rug, but I had a little video where I did some, you know, not ultra scientific testing, but I did leave it on for a few hours, and I tested the heatsink, and it doesn't get hotter really. It levels off, and it's fine. If you're really worried, I would recommend upgrading or changing your. I mean, again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not like a electronic engineer person, but I have heard from some other people that you can use this. Let me get the. You can use these 78S05 voltage regulators instead. So basically, it's the same form factor as the stock voltage regulators, but these are like slightly more modern ones that can take a little more heat. So if you're concerned, you shouldn't have to do anything other than desolder the old one, unscrew it because it does have a screw through it, unscrew the old one, and then unsolder it, and then solder this one in. So that's kind of a side note. Eventually, I would like to do that with this system, but if you're concerned with heat, I think that's probably the way to go. Okay, so let's continue reading about V2. So now it says FPGA V2 firmware 2.0 contains a bug that causes it to try to select a palette at power up before the FPGA. I'm looking around my camera. Before the FPGA is ready. This causes some boards to power up in the disabled state. So as soon as I read that, I'm like, that's my board basically. So there's a V2.1 that corrects this by waiting an additional 2 milliseconds for the FPGA to come up. So this whole kind of night, this whole live stream is kind of like predicated on I'm hoping that this update will fix this issue, but I'm trying to like I want to catch people if they're like searching black screen NESRGB 4.0 or something. They might find this video and they might find, or the live stream VOD, and they might be able to figure out how to fix it. So, with that being said, let's see, hard to troubleshoot via chat, but I'd retrace. Yeah, like I said, Lionheart, if you want to post more pictures, I don't have a link in my description, unfortunately. I need to start doing that. But if you want to find my Discord or follow me on Twitter or X, whatever, and find my Discord, you can feel free to post in the there's an NES section, so you can post in there if you really want more. Hey, Leon. 78SO5 runs as hot as the 7805. Yeah, it's not that it doesn't run as hot. I think that the spec sheet is more tolerant of heat. I think something like that. I'm not the right person to ask about this. I'm sure other people know more or less, but like even like Voltar, I don't really think any of the major installers install the external voltage regulator. I know this is sort of a side note. It's not related to the firmware, but right. So it's kind of a side effect, I suppose. Well, not a side effect, but like it's not like you're going for the 78SO5 to get higher output, like the 2 amps versus the 1 amp. I think it's just for heat tolerance. That was my understanding. Yes, it does get exacerbated also because everything that you add to your NES, right, so the NESRGB and the EverDrive, like Leon is saying, it increases the load of the system. So I suppose in that sense that you probably, I don't know if you need to be careful, but that was the initial intention of Tim, including the extra voltage regulator. It's all about current. I've been installing NESRGB since 2013. I've never installed it. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just... This system right now has both an EverDrive and an NESRGB, and I have the original voltage regulator. I don't think... unless you actually see something's wrong, like it's not booting or something is breaking up, I don't know. I don't think you should be concerned with actually like proactively changing it for no reason, in my opinion. I don't know, but Leon is going to know way better than I will. Yeah, Leon is a good person to ask. Or it's ironic that, well, not ironic, but like Tim. I don't know if Tim has a stance. His stance is kind of like use the voltage regulator, the external voltage regulator. Okay, so that's the goal of tonight, is to flash this firmware, is to update the 2.1 firmware. Like I said, if you have the version 1, oh, I guess that makes more sense. The note here makes more sense now that I think about it. So the FPGA firmware is kind of what dictates which firmware that you have to choose, right? So if you've got an older version of the FPGA firmware, you have to update version 1.1. If you have the newer version 2 FPGA firmware, you have to update with 2.1 to get the bug fixes and stuff. So, hey, Ryan, how you doing? Tim added it because stock 7805 is rated at 500 milliamps, and Tim assumed no one changes the original voltage regulator, hence he gave it for free. Okay, got it. Yeah, I have one. I bought one actually a while ago, so I'm going to put this in eventually. But I also want to put in the expansion slot. But we're getting off the rails, I guess, a little bit. Okay, so the unfortunate part about this whole thing is that we need to use a programmer. So it tells you, if you scroll down, right, it says the microcontroller can be updated by its serial bootloader. So if you look at the actual NES RGB board, it's here. Okay, so there's this row of pins here, and I believe it's sort of back the pinout. If you're looking at the pinout this way, right, so you could read the text on the chips and things, or I guess like this text here, test mode, whatever. If you can read that, then this is the orientation that I've got, and it's on this update, how to update thing. It's actually reversed the listing. So it says here it's 5 volt. It's labeling the pinout of those vias. So it's 5 volts ground, transmit, receive, and this program pound, I don't know, pin, which enables the programming mode. It's actually, you have to invert that. So that would mean that the from left to right here, this far left pin is the ground pin. So we have to like go backward. So you also need a USB to TTL serial adapter programmer thing. Now I kind of lucked out. Oh, I have a version 4. It's from 2022, so yeah, it's or 2022, so it's a couple years old now. I just haven't gotten around to installing them. We've got to use this USB to TTL, and I was thankful that I already have one of these because I used it for making the open flops, programming the MCU on the open flops. So I had one of these already, and these are pretty cheap. These are less than $10, so it's not that big of a deal. You know, if you've already gone through the effort of doing all the rest of the stuff. So okay, I'm just reading chat. Okay, so that's the first step, is get one of these. So we've got one of those. Now we've got to go back to the instructions. We need to probably download a firmware, and we need to download a program. It also recommends to use a resistor here. I guess I have some, so I guess we can. I don't know if this is necessarily, or if it's necessary. Let me see. It says about it somewhere. So here's where we have to download the firmware and stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. I just want to read about that resistor. Okay, here. The PRG whatever pin is connected to ground to enable the bootloader. I recommend connecting it through a 1K resistor. This prevents damage to the board if the serial port header is accidentally connected backwards. So I've got to find a 1K. I've got this nice bag. Here it is, right at the top. Look at that. Okay, I got a 1K resistor. So we're gonna solder that. I have so let me switch this. Tim has been selling NESRGB 4.2 for at least 6 months. That's not that old. 23. Okay, 2348. Got it. The circle pin isn't power. No, I think it's. Is it? Well, unfortunately, it's labeled. Oh, I guess I can just pull it. All right, hold on a minute. Let's. The pinout is labeled on the bottom. So before I talk smack or talk out of my butt, let's try to take this off. Oh, I'm glad that you said that, Ryan, because you're completely right. 5 volts is the far left pin. Wow, I'm glad you said that because I would have plugged it in wrong. Okay, so when in doubt, check the pin out. So it is right. It's the correct way. I should have done this before. I'm sorry, guys. So I was wrong. So this is the correct way. If you flip it over, the 5 volts is on the far left. That is a good call. Okay, so let's put this back. So that kind of change that. Well, it doesn't change really anything, but just know that you've got to plug it in. I actually don't know if we need the console on, or this. I think this can still be plugged into the console, but okay. So the USB to TTL programmer, I believe it came with these cables. These are just normal, kind of like breadboard. You know, these are kind of whatever these are called. Not Molex. Is there another name for these? Oh, I just messed up the whole pinout. But I have this other little pin header thing. So this is all. I'm not going to solder anything into the NESRGB. I'm just going to kind of lay it in there when I get around to it and kind of like just push it in place to hope it makes connection. But I've got to solder that 1K resistor in first. So I don't know how the heck I'm going to do this, but oh, that's what the circle thing normally indicates. Got it. That makes sense. Here's the V1 Bartleby. Okay, DuPont. Yeah, that's the word I was thinking about. Okay, so I've got to, I think I want the little end, this end here. I think I want that to go in. So that means I'm going to solder I'm going to try to solder this resistor according to this pinout here. So I'm just going to do, I'm going to make my, it's hard for me to show this. I'm just going to do it, and I'll show you it after. It shouldn't be that. I mean, if you're this far into an NESRGB, other than actually having to buy a 1K resistor, this should be no sweat. Okay, so let me get some solder on that spot. Oh, hopefully not melt it. Solder on that spot. Okay, I kind of melted it. Then let me tin my resistor. And then the polarity doesn't really matter. Oh, gosh. Hold that thought. Okay. I messed up. Sorry, I don't really have the best way to show you guys this. I guess I should have done this ahead of time too. Well. Okay, one. The problem is, I guess there's no problem. Okay. Ouch. I made one of the pins come out. If anybody cares about TV shows, I watched Shogun. I finished watching the whole first season, and it's great. I would recommend that a lot. Okay. I think that's fine. It's a little janky. I'll show you what I sort of melted this part over here, so it's a little off the rails, I guess, but it should be fine. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this doesn't take that. Oh, it came with the 1K resistor? What? Huh, that's interesting. Okay, so now we've got to put the DuPont cable back. So let's go to this, and we'll scroll up or down. We'll find the pin out, I guess is what I meant. All right, so let's find the pin out. So now I've got to do it. Let me do it first on, I'll do it on here. So I'll just do it in order. So we got 5 volts. Will be my brown cable. Then ground, then receive, and then transmit. The fifth one on this is 3 volts because this is a TTL. Or no, this is a, I don't know. It's compatible with CMOS, I guess, or like 3 volt, or maybe it has 3 volts. I don't know. There's 3 volts on here too, but I don't think we're gonna need that. Or we're not gonna need that for sure. Really, we want just the ground, the transmit, receive, and the 5 volts. So that's that end. Now we've got to do, I guess, sort of this. This is gonna be, I'm gonna put this on the NESRGB. Oh yeah, you're right. It's this ceramic capacitor underneath here. That thing, that underneath. I talked about that or I installed that last week. So I think we install this part in here like this. What the heck is going on? I think we want to do it like this. Get in there. Too good for your home. I think that'll be fine. If I have to, I'll hold it. I'll like kind of hold it like this. I hope that's enough. So now we just need to connect this, the programmer, which actually it's going to be kind of hard to plug in. I have to make sure that I have enough room because this cable, like the programmer literally has no cable. So this plugs into the USB on my computer. So I'm going to have to put my NESRGB like on the ground or like on my computer here. So I'm just making room for that. Or not the NESRGB, but the whole console. So let me just read ahead actually to see if I'm going to need to plug it in. Okay, plug the USB to TTL serial adapter into the PC. Oh, I don't think it's installed. Oops, I'm reading the... So plug the thing in and install the driver. Connect the ground wires. Connect the 5-volt wire. It's kind of interesting. Okay, so like it's a kind of a complicated process. When I installed that Volta ribbon cable, I soldered the PCB to the bottom. Yeah, that's fine. I actually talked about that. I saw a tweet that iFix Retro was doing a top loader, and on the top loader, he installed that quick solder board on the underside of the NESRGB. The problem with that, with my console, is the CPU. It's a front loader, so it's a different layout, and the CPU is in the way. So I kind of had no choice, really. Well, I don't know. There might be other alternatives, but I installed it on the top there. I have a console with a V3 and bought the V4 to put it in another console, but it has been sitting. Yeah, basically my situation is I have another console that has an older one, version 2 maybe or something. But yeah. All right, so I guess we plug this in. So I'm ignoring. This is gonna be. You guys won't gonna be able to see it unless I can find. Maybe I can try to find. Maybe I have a little USB extension. Maybe. Thinking. Oh, well, it's not that long. I wish I had a longer extension. I guess I could try it with this, but I really don't trust it. What is this? No, not the right one. Okay, well, forget it. So it's going to be kind of sketchy. I don't have a long enough USB cable. But I have this. This is just a male to female USB. Just makes it a little bit longer, but I'm going to run out of space anyway, so. V4 has a few nice features, but it also has a bunch of bugs. Yeah, so we're just testing this out basically to see if updating the firmware is going to fix the black screen issue. Oh, also, yeah, if you just joined afterward, just go watch the beginning part or toward the beginning where we talked about the problems that I was having, where the 0 light was lighting up. Leon. You guys are trolling me. All right, I'm plugging the programmer in, and we're going to update, see if it has any drivers for me to install. I don't know. Guess not. So now we need to download the updater tool. So I want V2.1. So this is where it's going to depend on. I think, does this mean that the firmware is wrapped up with the programmer? I guess. So this is a single executable. And then this is going to pop up. Okay, so this thing popped up, and the text it's like pretty unreadable on the stream. It's readable in person, but for some reason the text is terrible. Okay, so select your USB. So it's oh my. Are you serious? Why? I'm sorry, guys, but I think if Tim wrote this, why would you have a list of every possible COM port? Unless my computer has this many COM ports, but I think that's just the maximum number of COM ports any computer can have. But so you have to find it for yourself, which is This is terrible. So now we need to open up a different, how do I tell what COM port this USB thing was on? Do I need the Arduino? I think the Arduino, actually no. Will device manager tell us this? The COM port? Oh, look at that. CPU 2102 USB to UART bridge controller. All right, so we need a driver. So maybe I was yelling too early at Tim. So I need to look for CP2102 and then driver. I don't know. This one I got on Amazon. I should have put it in the description, I suppose. So what is it? What did I just say that was? CP2102. So CP2102 driver. I don't know. Silicon Labs. Sure. I trust Reddit, right? Universal Windows driver. Sure. Do it live. Okay, so you need to install the drivers, I guess, is the moral of the story. If you have the same one, I'll put it in. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. I have to look around. I hate how I have so much stuff in the way. Okay, now what? Where's the installer? X64? Nope. Okay, this is a text file. What does the text file say? Installation. If Windows prompts you to install a driver. Okay, so let's just have Device Manager auto install it. From my downloads. Here. Find it! Yes, we found it! Oh, that was good. I think this is the right thing. That's right? 2102 is the one I have? Yeah, okay, cool. Cool, so now we've got this. Now, oh, okay, COM4. Okay, we did it. We know now it's COM4. So what happens now if I actually close this? Will it auto-detect the COM port, I wonder? If we open up Tim's tool again? Here. Hey, Merlin. In the device manager, you can right-click on the missing driver and click Update, then point to the directory. Yep. Okay. So it doesn't automatically detect the COM port, which is, you know, it's a little obnoxious. It's fine. It's not. Oh, wow. It tells you. Okay, so it does say in the thing. So I'm sorry, Tim. I yelled at you too soon, or whoever made this. Okay. So first we have to get the COM port. All right, so let's go back to the menu, or back to the instructions. Okay. Select your USB TTL serial adapter. If you don't know which it is, unplug it and see which one disappears from the list. Okay, well, whatever. So now connect ground, transmit, and receive wires to the NESRGB board. Okay. So now my NES needs to go on the computer here. I'm sorry, you guys won't be able to see this. I'm sorry. It just do your best, I suppose, with this, because I think it needs to be plugged in while this is going. So what did it say to plug in first? Ground, transmit, and receive. So then you just cross-reference with the list above, right? So 5 volts, ground, transmit, and receive. So we want to do ground as the second one, and then receive goes to transmit, which is the third one, and then transmit goes to receive, which is the fourth one. So they need to be opposite. It's labeled on, if you have the same program that I have, it's labeled on the one end. So it's really not that terrible. You look at one end and then you look at the other end. But they do need to be flipped. But in this particular case, or at least in my case, ground, receive, and transmit is the order, and it's ground, transmit, receive on the NESRGBs. They do happen to line up even after they're flipped in my case, but just double check on yours. So, all right, so I'm plugging in from the second one. I'm plugging in ground, the second pin from the left. Plugging in mine is red. Wow, not confusing at all. Red is ground. Oh, this is going to be hell. So red is ground. Then orange is receive, and that goes to transmit, which is the next one. And then yellow for me, or the next one is transmit. Oh God, this is a nightmare. Okay. Okay, so it's just terrible. This is not a good idea. It's like barely in there. I have zero confidence that this is in there. All right, so now I got to hit a button. I'm pushing down the DuPont cables. I'm like tilting the header so that it makes better connection. I'm trying to look at my camera to talk to you guys. All right, so now what? Okay, click the download button in the app. Okay, so now we're in here, download. I have a red light on the thing. I stopped holding everything. Oh, okay. Oh, so this is right. Now I have to connect. Okay, so it's waiting here. Now I have to connect the 5-volt wire, which is the first wire. Or no, the first line wire. So for me, it's brown, and it's going to go into the first pin from left to right. This is awful. Oh no, it powered my whole console on? Well, I don't think this is working. No, this is not a good idea. All right, unplug. Does this need to not be plugged in? Okay, well. I think the problem is my janky pin header thing. I'm going to try another pin header that doesn't have that resistor after I took all that time to do the resistor thing. Just because I want a better connection, and I don't really care. I think it's the right way around. I think that was the reason it was there. Although, actually, it does make the connection with the last wire. Okay. I think I just needed to make a better one of these things. Better pin header thing. This part's stressful. Okay, let's go to the overhead cam, and I'll show you what I'm doing now. So now this is my janktastic first version. But as you can see, I added too much solder, like here. And there's nothing wrong with programming the FPGA while the console is running and providing power to the FPGA. Well, now the problem was powering the NESRGB powered the NES. So I think the problem is that's if the NESRGB is already installed in the console. It says in step 6 to power the console on. Oh. No, I think it says, for step 6, it says connect the 5-volt wire to the NESRGB board. So that's the 5-volt wire from the USB to TTL adapter. So basically, you're powering the NESRGB from the USB TTL, but the problem is because it's in the console, it's powering the console. So I think I want to unplug the console, or unplug the NESRGB from the console. To make matters even worse. So now I've got to put something underneath the NESRGB so that I don't short it on the board, on the NES itself. Okay, so I'm gonna just put just cardboard thing. I'm just gonna put a cardboard thing, like a box. Oh, that's too big. Okay, I've got a little baggie. I'm gonna put the baggie underneath the NESRGB so that it's not. I know you guys can't see anything, but scroll down below that. Okay. Do steps 1 to 5. Oh, I see. You're right. Look at that. NESRGB. Oops, let me go back to this. Updating the NESRGB, which is already installed in the console. Do steps 1 through 5 above with the console switched off. For step 6, simply switch the console on. Okay, so we don't need 5 volts. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so let's do. Okay, let me put it back. Wow, I should learn to read instead of having a whole live stream about teaching people how to do this. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so that means I need to move my triad over to the place. Okay. Okay, so the NESRGB is back in the console. Now I'm going to plug the my triad in over there because it won't reach from where it is currently. Alrighty. Fun on a bun. Okay, so it's plugged in, but not powered on. So now it's just a matter of, you know what? Yeah, well, we do need that ground pin thing. So now let's work on making a better one of these things. Let's do that. Okay. Okay, so it's still a little not a great solder joint, but I'm trying not to heat up the pin header really. I don't want to melt the thing or have any of the pins come misaligned. So as long as you're making a connection, it doesn't need to be beautiful. Okay, good. All right, so now we have a better thing here. For my NES RGB front loader, I did the thing on Firebrand X's site where you make a solder on an IDC pin here to the NES RGB, but I think it was the older board where you just solder in the IDC pin header. Yeah, that's probably a better idea, actually soldering it. Should I do that? I don't know. I mean, I probably should do that, but we'll see. If this doesn't work, because I'm not going to solder anymore. So if this doesn't work, then we can always do that. So let's put this back in the console. So let me just confirm the order. So 5 volts, ground, and program. Okay, so it's fine. So this is the way it needs to go in there. Before you do that, did you change the capacitor at C8? I did. I did that. Yep. I did that before last week. So if you missed the beginning, it will work. My console will work if you use the, so like initially when you start it, it will have a black screen, but you can use the controller to change a palette. And once you select the palette, it will perform like normal. So for all intents and purposes, it was working. The console works after you initially select a palette. I don't know if that works on a 4.0 board. I have one that I want to install into my AV Famicom, but a certain redfish has talked me out of it. Don't listen to him. Do whatever you want. It's reversible. You know, it's reversible. All right, so now I'm going to put this in into the pin header on the NESRGB, and now I've got to put my jank thing back. So what do I have to do? I have to connect the middle, or I have to connect the, let me just close it and open this again. I have to connect ground, transmit, and receive on the NESRGB pins. So the first one is 5 volts. That's brown for me. Ground is red. Okay, so red is going in the second pin. I'm just talking out loud. I don't know. Red's in the second one. The orange one is receive, which is next, which is actually the opposite of transmit, which is in line. So that's the third one. Then the fourth one is the transmit on the thing, but it's reverse on the NESRGB. And then I'm going to do nothing with the other one. Okay. So that's the 5-volt thing. Okay. So now I think I should be able to fire this up. So let's click, what, download? Okay, so checking target. So now I should power the console on with the triad. Oh! Oh! Woo! Wow, that was fast. Dang. Okay, so it worked. It worked no problem. Well, we still have to test it, but it flashed easily. Are you flashing any custom palettes? No, I'm just trying to update the firmware to fix a bug. Don't listen to him. I mean, yeah, I understand where red is coming from, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the whole premise of retro modding stuff is like personal preference. So do whatever makes you happy. There's nothing really off limits, I guess, in my opinion. But MCU update, yeah, okay, good. Is there a solder bridge somewhere by the controller port? Is there a solder bridge somewhere by the controller port? If you're talking about, okay, I think I can disconnect this. I'll bring the I can bring the console back up here, I think. I don't know why this iPhone thing keeps, like, sometimes it glitches and stuff. Maybe maybe it has something to do with the bitrate or something that I'm using the OBS thing with. Yeah. All right. So let's get this back up here. Now we should be able to do the same thing to do the test. So let's plug the controller in. I've got the triad already connected, or the power supply. I wasn't sure about your question, Kevin. Let me. I'm not sure what short you were talking about. I'm just going to make sure that these are pressed. The cartridge slot. This is a blinking light win, so it's pretty much got. It has like death grip on the cart, but this part could still come on disconnected. All right, so now let's plug in the thing again. Okay, we're ready to go. We got capture going. This is the OSSC. Let me just, or the OSSC Pro. Let me just make sure that it's still. Okay, so it says I can't see any. Oh, the OSD. OSD? Hello? I don't understand why. Okay, well, we guess we don't get any OSD. Well, nothing is there. I don't know if that's a bug or I'm just not understanding how that works. Okay, so, but it does say AV2 YPBPR. So we're ready on that end. All right, let's try it. Oh, actually, you know what? Okay, let's just try it. Nope, 0. It has a sync. Okay, well, it's still not working. I don't know how to, oops, I meant to go here. I don't know how to confirm what firmware we've got on here, but look, we still have the 0. But we still work with, so the palette select still works. It's almost like it thinks that it's in 0, because if you look at, if you power it on, it's at 0, and then you go over right once, it skips to 2. Okay, so it's working. We're in the game. We're in the console. Oh, the wiring for the controller palette select. I don't know what you mean by bridge. Is there a solder bridge somewhere by the controller port? I guess I'm still not sure. You're saying you think there's a bridge on mine install? Oops, I'm gonna just reset the console by. Oh, maybe not. So now I'm stumped. I don't know what to do now. I don't know how to even confirm what firmware is running on this thing now. Was the COM port wrong, maybe? It doesn't verify it. Oh yeah, let me turn the game back on. Well, we could play it a little bit, I suppose. I'm kind of puzzled. Like, I don't really know. And the other thing is, this happens too sometimes. This like black screen. But all I have to do is, I'm not sure what that's about. But if I just get to the first game that was loaded already. So I don't know, man. Let's mess around with the settings on the OSSC Pro, I guess, just for now. Let me see what the menu. Now the menu comes up. Let's see. Can we set it to 4K 4:3? I've wanted to mess around with that for a while. So that's in scalar output. And then we select this bad boy, 2880 by 2160. That should be it, right? That should be how you change it, right? Or am I not in that mode? Let's see, what am I? Oh, I'm in line multiplier mode, that's why. Can that flasher tool do a read? Maybe. Okay, so now we should be in that 4K mode. Obviously it's getting rendered, it's getting squished, but if I put a filter in OBS, if I put a 4:3 filter, see, where is it? Aspect ratio? Scaling aspect ratio. And then I slap a point scaling 4:3. That's, oh gosh, what happened? What is happening? Hold on, I might have done the wrong thing. Let me see. Oh, the filter is just gone. Okay, wait, that was weird. Okay, add a video, add an effect filter, scaling, 4:3. Okay, close. What is happening? This is a little bit unscripted, but I don't know why it won't let me just. Excuse me. Let me check what the resolution of my actual. Let me turn. Excuse me. Sorry, I got the hiccups or something. Turn the music down if you guys are. It says 4K. Obviously, you're not capturing 4K, so my capture card doesn't like this input for some reason. Version 2 has a bug with which sometimes the NESRGB board powering up in the off state. Oh, okay. All right, I guess we'll try to read. Maybe we could try to read again. Read the thing. Or I'll just try to reinstall it or rerun the downloader. So let's put the NES on the floor. Or not on the floor, but on the computer. We gotta plug the programmer in. It didn't immediately yell at me, so I don't know. Maybe there was something I missed, step I missed. So let's put the programmer in. Oops. Okay, let's plug it in. Plug it in. Okay, so now I need to select COM port 4. And then plug the thing in, the jig. Okay. Okay, so there's a light on the receive pin, so that's a good sign. There is a light that's off on the transmit, but that's fine because it shouldn't be transmitting anything. Okay, so let's hit reset. Okay, I guess I want to reset the counter. Re-download. Okay. Oh, now there's another light on. The transmit is on. Okay, now let's power the console on. Okay. All right, let's read the rest of this. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Is J1 open? J1 is closed on mine. J1, we talked about that before. J1 is for the palette selection mode. So it's closed, which is what we want for this controller mode. How do you like the OSSC Pro versus the Morph? I haven't really used the OSSC Pro that much because it's a little bit of a third wheel. I don't have a third capture card. So I think most people probably would like, most people would rather see the Morph versus the RetroTink. That's what I try to do. But we're gonna have a whole dedicated stream for just the OSSC Pro the next stream. That's why I was working on this system because I wanted to have this system working for the OSSC Pro stream. I will have to say that my initial impressions, I don't have like actual like lag latency recordings, I guess. Although I do have the Mr. Laggy now, so we could get those numbers. But there's two modes with the OSSC Pro. There's two scaling modes, right? There's the old line doubling mode, which is similar to how the old OSSC worked, right? So you specify the resolution and then how many multiples of that resolution that you want. So that was like a very manual process. Then the second mode is called scalar mode, or really it's first or second, doesn't really matter. Scalar mode, it's called, which is more like the other newer scalars, which are like you choose an output resolution and you let it do its thing and output whatever. There was some noticeable latency, maybe not a ton of latency, but it is late. I noticed it without knowing, without measuring it, versus the line doubling mode. There's latency in that scalar mode. So the scalar mode is the nicer mode to be in, right? Because you want to like select less things. You don't want to like mess around with options and stuff. That's the mode that I would probably want to be in. It has a little bit of latency. I haven't measured that, but I just felt it playing the game. Now, when we do the Mr. or the OSSC Pro stream, we can test that with the Mr. Laggy, so we can actually get a number if that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. So that kind of bums me out. Like the more convenient mode from a consumer standpoint, right? The less settings to set mode is not the ideal mode to be in. The ideal mode to be in is the line doubling mode for low latency. It doesn't look bad. I mean, you still have to tweak a bunch of stuff. So that kind of bummed me out when I did have a limited amount of time using it. Versus the Morph. The Morph has been pretty painless as far as how to set it, really. And I'm a bad person to ask for opinions about that because I kind of just leave everything at auto, which a lot of people probably do nowadays. But yeah. And the other thing is I don't like the menu at all. The menu is more if you didn't like the OSSC's menu because it was convoluted and just convoluted, just stuff's all over the place. It's not really all in one cohesive thing. The OSSC Pro is worse. It has more settings and they're in different places, which, to me is a little disappointing. But it is the cheaper option. So do I have an original NES frontloader I could test the NESRGB in? I'm not sure what you mean, like swap it into another console? When LED 0 is solid, does LED... No, none of the other... Let me put it back up here. Or let me just plug it... I'll turn it on, I guess. None of the other lights flash. I did see a forum post that somebody wrote about how pin 7 was flashing for them, or LED 7. There is another fix. There's like a hardware fix that Tim found. There was a bug. There's some kind of hardware bug that needs a modification. But as far as I'm concerned, all right, so now I reflashed that firmware. So let's try to, well, I guess it would work without the video cable, right? It's still doing it, starting on 0. I don't know if that means like the OpenTendo is the problem, right? So like this is a brand new NES. Maybe that is the reason. I don't really know. Oh, I see. Here's some more information. NESRGB can detect if the timing delays. Oh, that's a reset though. It will blink LED 7 at power up if this is the case. A fast blink means the timing capacitor must be replaced. A slow blink means it's marginal. So is that a problem if it's not blinking at all? Because it's not blinking at all. Right, so if I do the overhead. But I mean, it works. Everything works. If I hold select start and A and B, it will reset the console. Let's go into capture mode. I have to select the palette, so it's kind of janky. Oh, the controller is not plugged in. Derp. Let's turn the thing off. So if I turn it off, or turn it on now with the controller in, I could do the reset, the in-game reset, and it will restart the console. I saw the light blink off and then on again. So that part's working. Palette select is working, so if I choose a palette. Did I just... What happened now with the OSSC? Did the OSSC just poop itself? No sync. Huh, is it even worse now? Now I'm getting, oh, because the video cable is not plugged in. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's plug that in and then turn it on. Okay, there we go. So we got nothing. And then if I hit right, I can go to a palette. Well, let me reset the, I'll reset the OSSC. It doesn't like, this is the 10 or 4K 4x3 mode, and it's not behaving. I think, no, you don't even set it in the scalar you set it here in scalar options. Unless there's one of these menu items that I'm not, it's auto full. I said doo-doo. Nice. It's possible that one of these settings is what I need to set. Honestly, if you're waiting for any information about the OSSC Pro, I would wait for... why does it let you select the I don't know, aspect ratio. I would wait for Wilding Pixels. They're working on some kind of a video. I know they don't really do voiceover videos, but they'll have some information about comparisons between them. So they're currently working on an OSSC Pro, some kind of content. They also have a morph too, so if you're curious about somebody who's a little more, I don't know, you know, professional, but they also have experience with like taking the right screenshots and comparing them side by side, like getting a good lossless capture and side by siding the two things. So yeah, I guess we're gonna bounce out of this 4K mode because I can go on the 1440p mode. Okay, but now I need to, I gotta get rid of that. Oh, the filter's already gone. I think I need to set my capture card to that for 2560 by 1440, and then, oh, that is bizarre. It's outside of the, there is some kind of a weird bug. Huh, that's weird. Do you see how it's like, the output is off the screen? Is that something that the OSSC Pro is doing? See, the other problem I was having too is with the state of the NESRGB as it is here. Well, actually, let's before I do that, I have to, every time I use the RetroTink 4K, I have to restart it. I have to power cycle it, which is annoying. I have to admit that for the most expensive, I'm not trying to like. Mike knows that I'm not trying to rip on him. I know that hopefully he knows that I'm trying to be honest with the feedback that I'm giving and stuff. But it's the only one that I have to reset every time. And I don't know if that's something that's fixable. But I guess maybe I'll give it more context. I have some smart outlets that I turn off my entire video rack every night. And so I turn on everything again the next day when I want to go use it anyways. And usually that is when I have to restart it. So I don't know if that means, like, do some people leave it on all the time? All right, let me select input. And then RCA, YPPPR. The thing I noticed is, for some reason, the RetroTink 4K, it could be my cables. Let me just check my cables. The cables are good here. But my problem is I have all this stuff. All this stuff in the way. Oh my god, I have one of those, that scared the crap out of me. I have that weird baby controller toy thing that Robert Dale Smith hacked. I have one of those and it just went off and it freaked me out. I can't tell if the output is plugged in all the way or if it's loose. That's the other thing is these Extrons are nice, but they're like inconvenient when you have a lot of things connected. Oh, now it's working, so it was a connector. Look at that. That's weird. It's working now. Look at that. I think that was replaced last stream. Oh, curious about the section of the instructions that talk about the reset line having a 1 NF capacitor. Yep, I already did that last stream. And I have R6 J6 bridge. So J1, J6, and J10 are bridged on mine, and J5 and J3 because I don't have the external power connected. Did the flash? No, red. So far, red Panda, the flash didn't seem to fix it. I'm glad that the RetroTink detects it now. Okay, so it's doing the same thing that the OSSC was doing. This weird black screen. Once you're in a game, it works fine. Like, that's the most bizarre part. Or once you select the palette, I mean, and you get into a game, it looks like it's fine. So I don't really know. I don't know what to say or do at this point. It seems like it should be fine, but let's try the reset. Does restart work? Yep. And that's a really nice feature to have with an EverDrive too, because you can like hop into another game. I always like playing, even though I'm kind of bad at it, I like Little Samson. And it has the soundtrack slaps. I guess we'll just play for a bit. This is the stock palette, or the #1 palette. I'm gonna put my desk down. Okay, let me sit. And we could play some Little Samson. And I'm gonna slap it on my TV too. Let's see. Turn this to that. Why J10? I remember the V3, it was giving so many problems. The last firmware just turned off the D-jitter. Now it's back to recommended. I'm not sure. Is it recommended or did I say it was? Did I just say I did it? Let me just see. Oh, it is say it is recommended. You're right. In the instructions there. I could try to disable the D-jitter, but I still think it's a problem with that initial boot. Maybe it wasn't enough time. Maybe the problem is that this OpenTendo, with the OpenTendo, maybe it's a problem with my other wiring. I'm not really sure. I mean, this part is working, right? It looks fine. It looks really good. Here, so which is better in your opinion, RetroTink 4K or the Morph? It depends on your let me see, how do I phrase this? I'm sort of reserving ultimate judgment on one ecosystem, or not really ecosystem, but one or the other until the analog bridge is out. So some people might get annoyed kind of like right away because of that, right? Because like PixelFX promised X and Y or whatever and they didn't deliver. So sure, if you want to be upset with them about that, I don't blame you, I guess. But in in my perspective, I can wait, forever, as long as it doesn't become vaporware. Like as long as the analog bridge doesn't not come out, and the infinity switch stuff, as long as that doesn't not come out, then I'll be happy when it comes out, and I'll be able to make an opinion. So far, because the morph is kind of not limited, but like it's a digital only sort of situation right now. I guess I'll put face cam. I don't really know. I'll just for a second, and then we'll go back to the game. I like the simplicity of the setup with the digital only, right? Because for me, I'm auto everything, right? I don't really mess around with the settings. I just set it to whatever the auto settings are in that the scalar menu or whatever, and then just live with whatever that is. Obviously, because the digital part is just going to be scaling pixels that come into it anyways through the HDMI port, it's not really doing any of the analog-y like filtering or like optimal timing, whatever. You kind of already have an optimally timed system, or that's the expectation, is you have an already optimal signal coming in. So it's really just doubling or tripling whatever you're putting in. So it's really not to say that that's it, not to say like that's all it's doing, but it's simple. And like overall, the idea is simple, and that's why I like the menu just being a single option. There are more inputs. Sorry if the music is annoying. There are more inputs on the RetroTink, right? Until the analog bridge, and even if the analog bridge comes out, unless they release a Mondo like double wide unit, I don't think there will ever be a morph that has all of the basic inputs that you might want, right? So the RetroTink 4K has composite S video in the front, SCART, which takes a whole bunch of different inputs on the side, component RCA input in the back, the HDMI input in the back, the VGA input in the back. All that's already on board and ready. That's a lot of things that are just in. Like it's literally almost everything that you could want, in my opinion, for retro. So like that's very appealing to have everything in there. I guess sort of the downside is we're back to, not the downside. I mean, I don't think this is ever really going to be solved, or at least in the foreseeable future, this is not going to be solved. But we're back to needing profiles to get the best configuration, right? The best timing and the best settings to use. Unless you're willing to put in the time and the effort to figure out what all those settings are and learn what they are, and then change them for your unique system, to get to get the best video output, which the morph is also capable of. I'm just trying to say, like, there isn't that aspect yet in the morph, so I can't really judge. The analog part is not in there yet. But we're back to having to rely on like selecting the proper profile to get the extra like 0.1% or the 1% better setup versus like the auto everything. That's just not the it's never going to be the best solution, but it's the solution that I like the most. That's why I can't really judge the morph 100% yet, because I don't really know what the analog side and what the analog setting side is really going to look like. If that's going to be complicated, right? How's the profile setup thing going to be run, right? Are we going to have good profiles from people like Wildwing Pixels and Firebrand X? That's still undetermined. And just as far as like the drama surrounding that, I doubt it will ever happen. And maybe Wildwing Pixels might develop one. I hope I'm not just ranting. I'm really trying to give my heartfelt opinion, because I know it is a choice, right? Because I don't know how many people will be able to afford both, let alone one, right? So that's why I can't really say buy the morph because it's cheaper, because we have yet to see what the analog bridge functionality will look like. So if you only care about digital, so far only care about digital consoles and give a bunch of HDMI consoles, then I have no problem recommending the morph just for that, just to save some money. And you can watch my other videos about other opinions. Like, I know it's a lot of stuff, a lot of content, whatever. And this is not a succinct like review video, but okay, I'm back. Have you tried a regular game and not the EverDrive? I can try that. Yeah, let me see if I've got one handy. I've got the Mario Bros. I don't know if this cart works, but I've got Mario Bros. Sounds like the morph is better for my needs currently. I just want something simple to plug up to the TV and play my SCART stuff and upscale my Switch. Well, so that's the problem is I don't know. Currently there's no, so currently the way to get SCART into your morph is to have something like an OSSC. To use the OSSC to upscale or to basically act as an ADC, an analog to digital converter, and then put that into the morph. So really I can't recommend that. If you're looking for any analog, until the analog bridge is physically in my hand and I'm able to use it, I can't really say get a morph for future functionality. Right now you can only use it for digital stuff unless you want to use an OSSC. Did the RetroTink freeze on this screen? I just noticed that oh wow, okay, on my capture, it's frozen on my screen. Oops, hit the wrong button. Oh, that was the OSSC. The OSSC froze on this screen. That's interesting. I thought it was the RetroTink, but it was the OSSC. That's fun. Yeah, so I would honestly, the digital only part of the morph is compelling enough for me to wait, to recommend people to wait. I actually don't even know if there are any RetroTink 4Ks in stock currently, so that's kind of, you have to wait anyways. But I would wait until the analog bridge comes out. And we also have to see not only does it come out, but which ones come out, right? Because they've said that there's going to be a couple of different versions of it. So we need to see which ones come out and how they work, and how the menu works, how does profile loading work. Yeah, but this generation of scalers is going to be, if you really want the best of the best, you'll have to either learn all the settings and make your own profiles, or use an optimal profile. So we're kind of back to that if you really want the best of the best, in my opinion. No, there's no SCART. There's just the HDMI input. Hey, Patrick. How you doing? All right, so let's play a little bit of this game. That is kind of a weird bug how this froze. Let's go back to Little Samson. I don't know. Should we try? Oh, never mind. Wow, I completely forgot that we were going to swap out. We're going to swap the EverDrive for a real cart. I guess I can flip the whole thing over, right? I don't really need to stare at the NESRGB now that I can't really do anything with it. What the heck is happening? Okay, are we good here? What's happening? Okay, that's better. Okay, so let's pull out the... Let's pull the EverDrive out. Death grip. Okay. Okay. Oh, hold on. Hold on, everybody. All right, sorry. Just dog things. I'm back. No, so far I haven't been able to fix it, old kid. So we did the flash. I already flipped this over, but if you want to go back a little bit and watch the VOD where I actually was looking at it and explained the LEDs at the bottom, it's on the underside. You have to look at the bottom, but it's still doing it. So basically, when you turn the console on, it doesn't load with the power connected, not just with no power. If you put the power in and then you turn it on, it gets no signal until you select the palette. Oh gosh, we're back to this. Okay, RetroTink for the win. Okay. So this works fine. It didn't fix the issue. Ah, really? Do. Yeah, there's a couple of projects that people are creating nowadays, or recently, replacements, 3D printable replacements, and some PCB stuff too. I mean, it's not just 3D printing parts, but replacements for the stock slot. There's like at least 2 or 3 projects that I know of focused about that. So that's kind of why I was gearing up to make this OpenTendo build, is so that, or the NESRGB, so that we could test those things. The Slot Master is one, but there's also another one that I don't remember the name of it. Death Grip. It is blinking light wind, yep. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to do about the actual NESRGB. I'll have to reach out to Tim, I guess. Guys, I like how good this emulation looks. This is so good. It's such a good emulation. I'm not even sure where I would start to diagnose this, right? Like, I don't think it's a wiring issue, but it could be. But like, what part? Which wire? Like, the fact that it's working here, does that mean something? Like, is there a wire that's... Did you guys see that flickering? There's some weird flickering going on. I'm just half-assing my way through this because I could barely see with my camera in the way. And I'm just trying to think out loud. How much of the super chat did Red Herring pay for that line? No, Red Herring. Red Herring did not pay me to say that. So, yeah, not sure. Maybe there's another firmware update that needs to happen. I'll have to reach out to Tim. Be like, yo, what do I do? He actually did answer. He's answered my emails before, so. Testing it in another console. Okay, I could do that. I would have to take apart the well, actually that console has a dejitter mod in it. I was gonna say I have another NES that has an older NESRGB in it, but unfortunately it has a dejitter and stuff. It's all set up for that. So that's another secondary mod. So I'd have to buy a third NES to double check it. That's not the OpenTendo. I'm using the HD Retrovision cables, old kid. I'll talk about it in a second. Let me just die or something. I'll just show you what I'm experiencing. Okay, so if we go to, this is for the people who didn't watch the beginning. So I talked about all the other things that I kind of missed when I was setting up last stream. I kind of said, okay, everything's good to go. You just wire it up and whatever. And I was wrong. So there were some jumpers that I missed over here. I missed J1 needs to be connected to use this controller IGR instead of the switch. So that's what jumper 1 is for. Jumper 6, I believe, is for the reset direction. So that's closed because this is a front loader. And then J10 is the dejitter. Could be timing issue, maybe. Try different PPU and CPU. I mean, you're basically telling me to buy a whole new NES. I'm not like saying that's bad, but I have a Famicom. I could put an NESRGB in a Famicom. I have a twin Famicom, but I'm not ready to do that yet because I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a no cut or not. I'm not sure. All right, so let's talk. So I'll demonstrate how it looks, and this is how you can kind of tell that you have the same issue that I'm having. So I'll plug the console in. These lights here, there's a row of LED lights here. It says this first one is 0. It's not really marked well, but it's 0, and then 1 through 7 is here. 7 apparently is supposed to indicate if it's flashing quickly, you need to add this capacitor thing that I did. It's it's under here. That capacitor is at C8, so I did that already. But my particular console, when you turn it on, oh. What? Okay, so C7 was not blinking before. Huh, is that because of the cartridge? I think I have a spot in the video where I showed you it powering on, and C7 never powered on, or LED light 7 never went on. That is a new thing. So, okay, now this changes kind of everything. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my browser again. So there was another thing that I probably am going to have to do. So I'm glad that you guys made me put the other cartridge in because I never would have done that, and I probably never would have found this problem. But, well, you know, I would have reached out to, Tim. So let's go to the browser. Yes, you're right, Bartleby. This is that problem. Does anyone have a link to that thing, or I'll have to Google it? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? There's another post. It's like NESRGB for black screen. I think I found it with this. Is it NES Dev? Oh, I think someone in this Reddit post actually. No, I thought there is a Reddit thread. Okay, I gotta find this other thread. I didn't even think that was my problem because 7 wasn't even lit. All right, I gotta find it. Is it this? No. We're just surfing the web together. That's what we do. It's hard to find this because it's not listed on the... Is it this? It might be this. Let's see. No, this is that post that only has 6. There's a bunch of pages on the post. I had a lot of trouble with a modded NES and the blinking light win. I had to remove the blinking light win to get it to stop freezing so much. I was using. So I had problems at one point with not screwing in. Like if I didn't have all the screws in, it would not work well. I know, like, man, I gotta find it. Is it this? No, this is an old post. Gosh. Well, sorry, I didn't think that this is the problem because LED 7 wasn't blinking. So it's gone out of my... I don't remember how I found it. Oh, this? But I want the actual fix, though. Isn't that strange? It has the see, this is what I don't get about the AI thing, right? It seems to find the solution, but then the source is, if I click on the source, this is not. This is not the post, though. Oh, okay. Never mind. I found it. Here it is. Okay, so it's on Shmups. Okay, good. This. I have to do this, I think. Let me see if I can find the original. Okay, here. So LED 7 flashing and LED 0 solid. So let's read the first post. Before we read the fix, this is why, when I first read this, it didn't sound like my issue, right? So I'm attempting to install an NESRGB version 4 into my NES front loader. And if you look at the time period, it's in 2022, which is about the time when I probably bought this. This is the old, slightly older version of the 4.0, version 4. Okay, console seems to be good, working order, blah, 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 play it regularly. Installed the version 2, it also went well, but they're having a problem with the version 4. LED 7 is flashing, meaning there is an issue with the reset circuit. I followed all the instructions for V4, including changing the reset circuit capacitor. I installed the original circuit capacitor in parallel with the new 220 capacitor, and the result is exactly the same. I set all the jumpers appropriately, and have manually selected a single pallet by bridging 3L and ground. LED 0 is solid, meaning the NES RGB is not active. The NES's original composite video still works fine. I suppose I can test composite video, but we know that the NES RGB works. All you have to do is cycle the pallet. I removed all the wires to rule out any type of short or unintended cross connection. The result was the same. Okay, so I read this a couple of days ago when I was getting ready for this stream, or trying to think about what I was going to do, and the LED 7 flashing, that was not happening. It was only happening when I was not using the EverDrive. So I don't know. That's why I didn't think this is my problem. And then let's look at. So apparently Tim figured this issue, or got a hold of this issue, and it's a bug with the FPGA firmware. So it says, when I enabled the PLL, I mistakenly connected the FPGA PLL reset to the console reset signal. So when the console reset time is extended by changing the capacitor on the motherboard, the reset time of the FPGA is extended too. Fortunately, there's a simple fix. There is a redundant reset signal generated by the NES RGB board already. This is because the Famicom consoles don't reset the PPU. The reset pin is tied to the 5-volt supply on these consoles. The fix is to cut off the reset pin on the NES RGB board assembly, isolate it, and then connect it to 5 volts. So here's the procedure. Cut this pin. Put some electrical tape over pin 22 on the socket, and then solder a 1K resistor between pin 40 and pin 22 on the NES RGB board. Use a multimeter to measure continuity between pin 22 on the motherboard and the NES RGB, and be sure it's not connected. So this sounds like I have a third thing to do. Now, I don't think I'm going to be doing it this way. I don't think I'm going to be cutting the pin off this way, because I scrolled down and I read Firebrand X said, they said I would say it would be better to completely remove the pin, including the plastic spacer. So basically, on the NES RGB, probably the best thing would be to, well, I guess you could desolder it or snip it. So literally cut that pin out of the machine pin header. Right? So instead of cutting it and then leaving it, putting tape over that to prevent it from making the connection, completely cut out that one pin, this pin that is here. Just completely cut that part out. So that's what I'm going to be doing if I do this, so that you avoid having to put any electrical tape on there, because I don't know if it would happen. There's probably enough pressure where it wouldn't slip off, but Firebrand X says that electrical tape might slip off in the future. So I guess we could do it right now. All right. Let me unplug the console. Let's do it. I got a couple minutes. All right. I think we figured out, Ryan, that it was this. So here's what you missed. You missed that I originally was testing it with an EverDrive, and I was not getting any activity on LED 7. It was only getting a solid LED on 0. But I'll show you, I guess, in the overhead. Oh, I guess I just unplugged it. But somebody recommended to switch to using the a real cartridge instead of the EverDrive. And once I switched to using a real cart, now I have this flashing 7 LED. Now, after I heard about that, I saw somebody else had posted this problem on Shmups. I'm just catching Ryan up in case he doesn't want to watch the VOD later. They posted this, and it sounded kind of similar to my original problem, which was just black screen on boot. But they kept mentioning that the LED 7 was flashing, and mine was not doing that. And if you go back to the beginning of the VOD, when I demonstrated the LEDs before, I was just getting a single LED. So now I'm getting that flashing 7, which means I think that I have to do this fix. So here we are. So basically I have to cut out a pin of the NESRGB. Okay. Let's do it. All right, let's unplug the NESRGB. I should be able to do this. I'm going to unplug this too. I don't want to mess this up. So unplugging the flex cable connector. I should be able to do this without unsoldering anything else. Okay, so according to, let's see, can we verify which pin is pin 22? Well, they're not labeled on the bottom, but we're just going to follow the picture and assume that this is the same pin. So we need to basically cut out this pin here, the second one. So I'm going to take, instead of doing what Tim said to do was literally cut that pin flush here and then put some electrical tape in the socket. I'm actually just going to cut this whole oh gosh. I'm going to carefully try to cut this one off. Oh god, this is not what I wanted to do. Okay, so the plastic, I bent this first pin accidentally, but let me get my desoldering gun. As soon as I desolder this first one, it should just come off no problem. Oops. Ah, god, I'm dropping everything. Okay, I gotta unplug the console. All right, so that should be heated up. And thankfully this pin is exposed here on the bottom so that you don't have to, or here at the top, so you don't have to like desolder the PPU or anything. Okay. So now let's see, can we unplug, can we? Oh gosh. This is the worst. I'm just getting plastic all over. Okay, wait a minute. I mangled these things. Ugh. I'm just gonna have to buy another machine pin. Come on out. God, come out. Okay, one piece. Oh my god. Why? What is with these tweezers? They're shit. Okay, I need real tweezers. Okay, there's that. All right, now this pin should be desoldered. Should be able to just pull it right out. Okay. But now, unfortunately, I broke the plastic. It's not really that big of a deal. I can just bend it. I could bend it back, and I just got to make sure that when I put it back in the slot that I am careful. But I'm going to buy a new machine header pin thing here. I guess I could try to pull out one of them before I install it. Before I solder it in there, I'll probably just pull out one of them. Okay. No, I think we're there, Ryan. So now I've got to do what? I've got to put this back. Okay, let's put this in here. I think we can do the rest from the top. And it looks like that pin is in there good. The one that I made the plastic. Now I've got to solder a resistor. What does it say? What size? Oh, is it 1K like the other one, right? Solder a let me solder a 1K resistor between pin 40 and pin 22. Which is pin 22? Which is pin 40? Let me see. So let's say this is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay, so it's the end. Okay, so from that one, I just cut to the last one on that row, that same row. So let me go get another resistor. Did I put them away? Yeah, I did. And let's solder it in there. Oh, I bet my phone just died. Let me just check to make sure my phone is, oh. Oh, my phone overheated. I have to take it out of the case. Hold on a minute. That is not, oh my God, it's like on fire. Okay. My phone is like burning up. Okay, there we go. Hello, I'm back. All right, let's do the overhead and let's, oh, actually, you know what? Well, no, that's fine. Okay, let's unplug it. Rotate. How are you supposed to keep this from shorting anything? Well, let's just try it, first of all, right? If this works, then I'll have to, I'll come up with a better solution for attaching it. I might have to put some, a little thin thing of shrink wrap on it or something, heat shrink. Okay. So let me get flux. Okay, so we're shorting pin 40 here, which according to Tim is the reset, or no, 5 volts. Okay. And then the other end is going to go to that pin I just removed. Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else? Use a multimeter to measure the continuity between pin 22 and pin 22 on the motherboard. Oh, okay. We don't have to worry about that because it's literally severed. So I'm gonna YOLO it. All right. So let's kind of finagle it. This is not the best way to do this, obviously, because this. I would protect this with some heat shrink or some. I don't know. I need to figure out a better way to do that. But I'm just doing this for testing purposes, just to see if this is the fix. Okay, so let's plug the cable back in. Then everything should be plugged in. I got the game plugged in. Make sure that the blinking light win is in there good. Right, now I got to plug the triad. All right, I guess we'll test the lights, right? Any smoke? It works! It's working! Oh my god, wait a minute. Why do neither of them? Oh, because the video cable. Okay, wait a minute. Let's plug the video cable in. Forgot about that. It's working! Oh my gosh. Holy cow, I would have never found that issue if someone had not mentioned to not use the EverDrive. Actually, so on that note then, can I use the EverDrive? Death grip! I'm trying to take the cartridge out, and the stupid blinking light win has death gripped it. Okay. All right. Wow. I would have never thought. See, like, because that LED 7 thing. God. I guess, is it plugged in? No, it's not plugged in at all. Okay, it's plugged in. Wow, I had to struggle to get that plugged in. That was annoying. All right, let's try it with this. What is it going to look like from here? Hey, it's working. Hey. Well. Not getting these. Not getting the EverDrive screen, but I don't know if I can blame the. I don't think I can blame the thing because I would rather blame the blinking light win than the NES because I don't think we're making a great connection with the cart. Huh. What the heck's going on here? No, I have no idea if the other ones have the same problem. As far as I'm concerned, they're all different. They're all different installs, so I would not. I would just assume that this is a problem with this particular version of the NESRGB and on a front loader. Well, that's annoying that this the blinking light win doesn't work now. Actually, let's see. What will happen if let me try to flip this over and make a better connection in the blinking, why do I keep saying that? Blinking light win. Yeah, the resistor is like sitting like literally on the plastic. So you would need a better way to mount this. That was not. I don't know how you'd fix this actually. Or I don't know how you would mount it without making it hit stuff. Reading more into this problem, previously LED 0 is lit. This means a palette is not selected. Not having a palette selected turns off the NESRGB board. Right, so that's why, Gamer, Jerome, that's why you can, well, I was able to get the video by cycling the palette. So at first I was like, okay, I was getting a black screen, but then all I did was just cycle the palette with the controller, and it seemed to work again. Or it worked, I mean, so like I could get video output. Okay, let's try now. is happening? Okay, so we have the red screen apparently. I don't know if that means it's shorting on something or what. Okay, well, it's clear, I think, that the blinking light win is the issue right now. So I'd have to find a better way to mount that that resistor, like isolate it from the board somehow with some shrink wrap, probably. Oh, maybe actually, I think the problem might have been that the maybe this was loose because this just came out. Whoops. I don't know. I'm a little over everything right now, so I'm kind of half-assing stuff. But this is the fix for my issue: is this resistor mod thing. Yes, I'm looking forward to the Laser Bear one, and then there's the slot master, I think, is the other version. So I'm interested in testing both of those, giving feedback. All right, let's see. What, your favorite Guns N' Roses song? All right, let's see. This is like, I don't know. Okay. Okay, so now it's working. Kind of. The controller is not working. Never ends. Well, you know what? I'll do a little bit more. I'll do some more experimenting. Oh, now it's working. The heck? Is this the audio is working? You guys can hear audio? Yeah. Okay. This is stretched because we were in that weird morph mode. Or not morph mode, the OSSC Pro. All right, so we're there. We did it. Reset works. Yep. Let's get back into the game. Palette selecting works. Wonderful, wonderful palettes. All right, so that is the fix. And again, I guess I want to, before I log off, I want to make it clear, right? So if you're going to attempt this, make sure you watch, well, you know, I'm not forcing you, but make sure that this is your issue, right? Try everything else first, right? So first thing I would do is triple check that your wiring is fine. Your wires are connected correctly. You have the right jumper set. Yeah, that sort of thing. You can also verify if you get a black screen, but you see the zero LED. If you flip the board like you have mine, you have it up like this, so you can see the underside of the NESRGB, or really it's the top, but it's the underside of the NES. And if you get a solid zero, the first LED, which is 0, that has to be solid, and then you have like a flashing 7 LED with a regular cartridge. That is the sign of this. So the first thing I tested to try to fix it was to update the firmware, because it sounded like there is an issue in the NES RGB documentation that sounds like this issue, and there's a 2.1 firmware update available. I tried that, and that's what I initially thought that this was going to be. So I would try that first, and then, you know, last case scenario, remove that pin 22 and put that resistor there. Not an ideal solution, but I think it's a hardware bug. I don't think it's possible to fix, or some kind of a FPGA thing. So make sure you follow all the steps first and get to the end and make sure you've triple checked everything else. Then you can cut that pin out. And this is the way that I would recommend people to do it. Ideally, you probably should desolder that whole pin header and then just cut that one out. That way you're not going to mangle the plastic like I did. I ruined one of the pin cover things, if that makes sense. So I would try to just desolder it first. All right, I'm done. That fixes in the errata. Is it? Let me just double check that. Software in errata or the notes for version 4? Oh, the NESRGB already has its own. Okay, so there is an NESRGB 4 errata page. Got it. Version 2 has a bug which sometimes the NESRGB board powering up in the off state when installed into the front-loading NES. The fix is here in this forum post. Okay. So it sounds like it has nothing to do with the firmware. If you are getting just a black screen and you can see a 0 on the zero LEDs light up when you first boot it, then this is your problem with this version. Oh, I didn't mention that either. This is for a specific version of the NESRGB. So I wouldn't attempt this fix until you come across this issue and then fix it. Hello, I'm doing all right. Alice Maker. Okay, got it. So this actually is the fix that Shmups forum post. So, oh man, what an adventure. All right, that's it for me. That means I don't know if we're gonna actually even be able to do. I mean, I would like to dedicate a whole stream to the OSSC Pro, but I already tried that 4x3. I just tried that 4K 4x3 mode, and I don't think that it's gonna work with my capture card. We could try it again, I suppose, but I don't know if I'm gonna like that. Seems like a good selling point, like that 4K 4x3 if your TV accepts it, because in that particular circumstance, I mean, you could probably get close to the output with the OSSC Pro as you could with the Morph and the RetroTink 4K for even cheaper than the Morph. But you know, it's a big what if. Your TV has to support it. It shouldn't add additional latency on your TV. Some TVs do add latency if you use the 4x3 mode. So it's a lot of what ifs, I guess. But that's why I wanted to test it out. All right. Thanks, everybody. Next stream, we are going to do, I guess we'll do OSSC Pro. We'll do some more stuff because Brandon Arnold is the person who let me borrow it, and it's his OSSC Pro. He hasn't even used it yet. He's immediately mailed it off. Oh, no worries, Alice. I'm doing all right. Hopefully you can understand my stream. If you were curious about the NESRGB fixes, you can watch the VOD, and hopefully you can understand it. Or you can always look at the documentation as well. I guess I'm going to update the description of this. I guess I'll leave a link to this programmer, even though I don't think this actually helped at all. I mean, obviously we flashed the update, but the update didn't fix the issue. But if you want to update the firmware, you can. So I'll leave a link to this, but I'll also leave a link to this. I'm pointing to my screen, my computer screen. I'll leave a link to the fix, the forum post by Tim. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you on Sunday with OSSC stuff.